Newsfirst, NewsLine with Faraz Shaukatali.
And top of the morning to you. This is Newsline, live as always from the Newsfirst studios in Dawson Street in Colombo. And what a wet day it is. Do be careful. Please slow down and not try and overtake everyone that's in sight, because it can be dodgy, especially when there are potholes that you can't see and so on. So do be careful while you're traversing around. And we do feel for all those people affected by the floods and so on. And on that note, let's welcome to our program this morning Mr. Chandra Jayaratne, the former chairman of the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce, who's here hopefully to throw some light on the Foreign Exchange Act, which is seems to be the talk of the town. Very good morning to you, Mr. Jayaratne.
Good morning, Faraz.
And thank you very much for taking time out and being here. How are the roads? Wet?
Wet, but okay. People have all gone, I think, for the long weekend.
Ah, yes, indeed. Very Sri Lankan thing, that, isn't it? This long weekend.
I think it started yesterday, not today.
And there are so many holidays in this country. How come? How can factories and so on cope with this thing?
Well, nobody is willing to bell the cat. I think once the chamber took this up, and the then Prime Minister, who may be now in power, said, you go and get permission from the, permission from the Mahanayakas and come, and then we will change the Poya Day holiday.
Well, that's only one. That's 12 days a year.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
So that's 12 days. 12 days of productivity,
Yes.
which is days when they fall really on international working days, then that is...
well, like today is supposed to be the birthday of Prophet Muhammad. But when I was working in the Middle East, in Saudi Arabia, it was just a normal day, a normal working day. And you know, some like us, we've adopted it as a holiday. I suppose we should start getting SMSs now, but it's not a controversy. You know, it's another day. You know. Anyway, we do feel for all you owners of businesses. I haven't got the foggiest how they cope with all these holidays, especially in the production environment. Now then, Mr. Jayaratne, the Foreign Exchange Act. It's not a bill anymore, it's an act. Why a Foreign Exchange Act, a new one? Why?
Well, we can imagine that this is a part of the program to achieve the Vision 2025, by which we are going to have this country full of people coming and investing money, foreigners, locals. We are going to have the financial center for South Asia here. We are going to create thousands and millions of jobs.
1 million jobs.
A million jobs, and then we are going to improve the lot of the people. That's the vision.
Right.
But
nothing wrong with it.
It's nothing wrong in the vision, but vision must have a strategy and must be a realistic, stretched, but realistic assumption. You can't begin to correct by opening one particular window without closing many other windows, which are the ones through which the air conditioning is leaking out.
Indeed.
It starts with political stability, the joint enterprise that should be there between the two coalition partners, which is not there. There is no one hymn sheet that drives governance, and above all, there are promises and delivery of what they promised.
Yeah.
We don't want to go as far as some politicians said the other day. We are going to be by 2025, not 2025, 2020, we are going to be a high-income country. Now, I don't know from where he understands.
What is the definition of high income?
Over $12,000 per capita.
That's 3 times more.
Absolutely. I don't know. So these are all, you can vision what you want. But in the visioning, I think you have to be realistic. You have to hold yourself accountable to be able to get there. And you must have a team committed to do that, and that I find is not there. And this bill, to my mind, firstly does two absolutely dangerous things. It opens an opportunity for three things. Opens an opportunity for our economic stability to be shaky at any point of time into the future, which is very worrying. Second, Yahapal, a promise of corruption being charged. We can talk about it later. This bill puts an end to money laundering related charges being brought forward under the Foreign Exchange Act, under the Money Laundering Act.
I'm glad you mentioned that bit. Now, if you take it one step at a time, this Foreign Exchange Act, now we've been covering this aspect about the 6 months. It's sort of a transitional period in which the repealed act with the Exchange Control Act will be the basis of charging people and so on. But it's only 6 months, Mr. Jayaratne.
That also is not charging. That is where charges have been framed in a court already, or investigations have begun by the investigating authority, which is the central bank, and not the other investigating authorities, which needs to be completed within 6 months. So,
when they mean needs to be completed in 6 months, does it mean that they're trying to hurry along the legal process?
Well, they are not trying to hurry along. All they say is at the end of 6 months, that 6 months,
it should be done and dusted.
Whether it's done or dusted, or whether it's halfway, or whether it is in the beginning, it doesn't matter. It is no longer a chargeable section under.
So what happens if a case has already started under the Exchange Control Act?
If it is, that has been started, that also needs to be completed within the 6 months.
But then, what about these laws delays we have?
Obviously, somebody who has done this is not unaware of the laws delays. This has been done. Civil society. I was surprised. I know I must take something about your own station 2 nights ago or 3 nights ago in news. Your good colleague and somebody whom I like very much as a good reporter went on saying, why hasn't civil society not gone to court? Why have they not been shouting? We have been on Face the Nation, and in this program of yours.
I think what he meant to say is not enough.
It's okay. It's not enough. Well, to go to he was stressing on the point of why haven't people gone to court. You can go to court and question on a bill only as regards constitutionality. You can't question whether it is good for the economy, or whether it's bad for the society, or whether it's going to be bad.
But surely wouldn't it have been proper and fit and proper and sensible to have had a study done before they go and change all these things?
Obviously. But once they were trying to change, I can at least for myself say that I have at least published 3 papers. We discussed it here. And I have taken it up with the highest in the land, and I had assurances that in the work committee stage, these will all be amended. The 2 amendments they made one was to accommodate the 1% not to apply to up to $1 million, or put it the other way, there was a comment about the workers,
the
migrant workers will be paying a tax, and
so they
just check that, and a few little, and from the day the bill was passed, we in civil society have been trying to get a copy of the amendments passed at the last stage to see whether the assurances we had that all will be amended will be done. Bill was not
that wasn't available.
Never available till the published act came, showing that out of the 7 points, only 2 small little things have been changed. The real dangers still remain, and I think somebody in government even fooled the most highest position person in the land that it was going to be done, and it was not done in Parliament. So we hold accountable.
That's right. But what I want to say also is, now when this is the subject of intense discussion with various people. Now some people say, look, that's fine. This laws, the Foreign Exchange Act is there. And when we say, well, what about money laundering? And they say, no, we've got a Money Laundering Act for that. So what's your response to that?
That is again leading up the wrong way.
So
For
it's a
money
red herring.
absolutely wrong, because money laundering requires what is called a predicate offense. And the predicate offense was an offense as listed, was an offense under the Exchange Control Act.
Right.
And there is no Exchange Control Act,
Right.
and therefore there is no predicate offense. And the second possibility,
yeah.
there's the catch-all phrase within the Money Laundering Act, which says where a penal sentence, any offense,
Yeah.
where the penal sentence is over 5 years
Yeah.
of jail, then that can also come under, if you have done that and made some proceeds of crime, then they can have been charged under money laundering. But no financial offense
Yeah.
carries a 5-year confirmed or minimum sentence of 5 years. So therefore, all financial things, including, I'm not a lawyer,
Yeah.
but I would go to say all securities, if you have done
Offences.
something with securities offences connected with, could have been under money laundering, all that will be gone, because now we have come to a stage where by the catch-all clause and the removal of this, any foreign exchange related securities or any other banking or any other offense cannot be charged under money laundering. That's my view, but Attorney General will have to review it.
Yeah.
And
It's very worrying.
absolutely worrying.
Because there's no point having a Money Laundering Act without recourse to some form of law or system where one can prove the predicative offence.
There are other predicative offences within the Money Laundering Act, which
Right.
is for crimes under the narcotics
Yes.
things.
Yeah.
But for foreign exchange related ones,
Yeah.
is the one that really is worrying. And leave the offences aside.
Yeah.
But what two real questions is, if this act has given this much of leeway, and there are 38 pages of directions,
Yeah.
which I don't think even the professionals in this country have been able to study up to now, which came in last week,
Yeah.
or week before.
Week before.
And the impact of that on the economy, impact of that taken, what will it do to the economy if it is, and for charging. Let's say now you are allowed to have up to $10,000 at a time,
Yeah.
from the monies you have taken,
Yeah.
not 3,000. But question is, if you're going to keep in your purse, I just can't see a businessman going every week overseas. Does he have to have $10,000 in cash? When cash is now not a currency,
Yeah.
it is
It's a bit of a nuisance.
it is a nuisance, but this is giving way for people to hold more foreign currency, and then they get out of the act. That's a small one.
Yeah.
But to me, the bigger issue here is, if you have given all this for you, me, and Mr.
X.
Simeon Sinyo,
Yeah.
what are we going to give to all those who come to the financial city? We'll have to tell them, you can do anything you want in this country. Use that little bit over there.
So technically, when we look at this new Foreign Exchange Act, if you bring over $1 million, you can bring over $1 million, you just pay the 1%.
You don't pay the 1% if you put it into
The
development
bonds.
bonds, and within the next 2 days you trade it. You can take it out any day,
And
any
you
place.
can you remit the money out to foreign
Absolutely,
exchange?
without any restrictions, the money can be remitted at any time, it says.
So it will become the Democratic Republic of the laundry.
The danger of that is what happens if the American banks
Yeah.
have treated some countries and some units or some areas of countries
Yeah.
as black.
Right.
If we become into that black category and they will not transact dollars, how are we going to do all our imports? If the American banks put a bar,
Yeah.
people of this country could be starving with essential foods, drugs, and medicinal drugs,
Yeah.
I mean drugs and other essentials, could be blocked for us for a while. Then on whose face are we going to spit on as a society? Whom are we going to hold accountable?
Right.
The pipe dream makers,
Yeah.
or those who think, listen, do the right thing, and above all, deliver on the promises made in 2015.
So that seems to be what's the rationale? Why did they want to do that? That's because they want to...
They think that from November, this date, millions of dollars will just flow in. All the Sri Lankans who have hoarded the money out will bring it in.
So this is a kind of an encouragement.
It's an encouragement, but again, you talk about the Money Laundering Act.
Yeah.
I have another problem with the Money Laundering Act. I will take it up publicly soon, so
Yeah.
that you may be the first to know it.
Yeah.
Money Laundering Act appears, to my review,
Yeah,
to leave out. Now, if I'm in Sri Lanka
yeah,
and you are a Sri Lankan,
yeah,
you are resident in Dubai.
yeah,
If I use you
yeah,
and you do the laundering,
yeah,
I use you, I can be charged.
yeah.
But the you,
Can't-
Faras, who did the money laundering, cannot be charged.
Right.
The way it is
Right.
defined.
So there are
Absolute
there are certain
ramifications.
people who hold vast sums of money outside of the reach of the Sri Lankan authorities in Dubai, sometimes in Hong Kong, but mainly in Dubai. So they'll get away with it.
I can tell you a few other places: Seychelles,
Mauritius,
British Virgin Islands,
right?
all the BVI companies,
Yeah.
and all the Channel Island companies, and
Gibraltar.
there are some of them, Gibraltar. What about the Panama Papers people?
Indeed. Yeah, yeah. What about them?
Well, I suppose several bottles of champagne would have been opened on November, whatever the day
17th, when this came into play.
effect. So that's all I can say. And don't our leaders...
Look, I agree that when, for years, this money accumulated overseas has been out of the reach of of the authorities here, and you can't force them, so you encourage them. Okay, that's fine. But the point is,
if
Chandra,
they have been made out of proceeds of crime,
that's the problem. Now, we don't know whether there's one case within the system, the justice system here in this country, where this one group have got at one stage it was around $210 million in nominee accounts in Gibraltar, and because of a battle going on here, all those beneficiaries have admitted to this. All right. So now, on the one side, in the commercial court, they're arguing about who owns that money. But the point is, we don't know how they collected that money. We don't know whether it is in their legitimate business here. And anyway, at that time then they should have brought the profits back here.
Sure.
And they haven't done that. Right? And that's why this $210 million or whatever it is out there. And that's only the tip of the iceberg. And so when they do away with this, nothing. And then, of course, there are claims that the former finance minister will benefit from this new act, which he introduced in July. So there are some serious questions. What can we do now?
Well, nothing can be done now in my books unless civil society in one voice asks for the corrections.
Can it be repealed?
Any act can be repealed at any time if there is will and willingness.
Yeah.
Can there be will and willingness when assurances were given that the amendments will be made and they were not being done? So they are obviously wanting this. So let's wait to see whether their pipe dream will come, and I can't see the pipe dream being realized until we have political.
Is this a bit like that? The last time the UNP held power in 2002 or that 2003, that short sort of period. Do you remember they did a tax amnesty, which was then subsequently overruled by the Supreme Court.
All amnesties have failed because people will not believe in an amnesty and bring all the money and everything out.
Yeah.
At that time, they said you can go and burn your own tax file. You'll be given the opportunity to put it into the fire. That's how it was introduced.
Yeah.
But did it work? It didn't. Because to people to bring out everything, you will bring out one little thing and burn your whole file. Bring 1% of what you have hoarded here in Sri Lanka in black money terms and get your whole file burned.
Yes, all because people don't have, genuine and others, don't have confidence in the stability of the policy of the government.
Stability as well as commitment to pursue what they came in for. There doesn't seem to be commitment to Yahapalane. It seems to be Yahapalane for the small people, and for cronies and friends, it seems to be Yamapalane. Let them have their way.
Yamapalane.
The Yamaya is the man who runs the down under in the.
Goodness me, it sounds terrible. What are the other implications?
Well, the other implications of this is the fact that the offence has now become non-criminal.
Right.
And irrespective of the value of the consideration. Let's take a case of somebody invests 10 billion rupees in a project. And the actual cost of the project is 2 billion. I'm not telling you actual facts. But so in the imports of whatever, you have taken, say, 4 billion out of the 8 billion out of the place by some means. Where are we going to charge them if we find it? Secondly, the international norms for money laundering charges, if those who are doing money laundering as a business, the collection fee is between 20 and 40%.
Not 1%.
Never 1%. I mean, the business intermediaries would love this. Love this place and love the financial city, which will give even more. Maybe they will have facilities to send money without a corporate name or an individual name, maybe a numbered thing. I don't know what's in it. We have not been. We may be taken by surprise. By
Are we, as in you, other civil society and the media that's covering this, are we all being too pessimistic?
Well, pessimism is driven on some experiences. If you take from the bond scheme, started by a decision purportedly taken to look after the interests of the
United National Party.
No, I'm saying it's supposed to be for the country's sake, to prevent what has happened between 2018. We have had 10 times what would have happened in the past coming through. Securities Exchange Commission has seen all the stock exchange things which have
nothing's happened.
Nothing has happened.
Nothing has happened.
So all those people will now have opportunities to do this. But to me, the biggest danger, maybe we are pessimistic, maybe we are doomsday soothsayers or whatever, but the 0.1% chance of it happening, if it happens, and if the country is blacked by the American banks,
then we spells big trouble.
Big trouble not for them, because they have the money outside. They don't care. They can bring with anything that they want. Who has the money? But the poor people, how are we going to have them fed, looked after, and medicines provided? How can this country run? Even for 1 week, if what would be the impact? And that day, we should be able to hold somebody accountable. And will these people who have done this today, with big,
will they be around?
Will they be around? I don't know. I think the society will spit my books. I have written something which I'm saying that society will one day, if this bubble of a dream doesn't come through and it becomes burst, the bubble bursts, people will spit on the faces of those who have done this.
Now then, talking about stability of policies and so on, I've been following a case, an arbitration case to do with the former Celestial Tower project, or what is now known as the Hyatt project. And it's a very detailed arbitration process that's been completed. And it was found there that the only reason that this contract given to this Italian company was cancelled was because of a political change, nothing to do with the Italian company's failure to fulfill a contract or whatever. And that policy decision to change it purely because there was a political change and because the Minister of Finance then decided to cancel that contract without any reasoning other than that he wanted it cancelled, has resulted in that company being paid over 7.4 million euro, around $7 million, plus another million, just under $1 million from two other matters. They were awarded that because there was no sense, there was nothing that there was nothing that they had done wrong that warranted their contract being cancelled, other than there was a new minister and he decided, I want all the contracts cancelled.
I think one important thing learning from that kind of thing is at least this has now gone, that we have to manage this, but at least I think you in the media and we in civil society must ask open, transparent disclosure of what's going to be in the financial city.
Exactly.
And to Parliament they must put a paper validated by the central bank, validated by the Auditor General of the likely implications. If people are to be told, people's representatives, people are supreme in this country, they should be told about this by that. That's the first most important next step to me. And the second most important next step is to warn the people and the leaders of the dangers of taking powers which are with a public institution. Powers that were before this vested in an independent public institution called the central bank is now with a minister.
Yes.
And minister, even if the central bank tells them that the economy is stability, there is a provision in the act, I don't want to go to the details, tells them he can only defer it by 6 months. After 6 months of their telling them that the economic stability, monetary stability is going to be affected, the minister can still proceed with action under the Exchange Management Act with whatever he wanted to do as a direction, despite the independent commission. Now, where is this constitutional powers of independence that has been granted to people?
People must. You're quite right. It's up to civil society.
These 2 points.
And
I think
media.
these 2 points, denying independent public institutions of their independence and their power, and the fact that a minister has taken that over at his discretion to issue a gazette and get it passed. And secondly, what is going to happen through the financial city must be made transparent. At least let us go forward from now and not let an Exchange Management Act type of thing happen with those 2 issues.
And that minister who's accumulated this power just happens to be, at this moment in time, happens to be none other than the Prime Minister. So there's through the back door, this sort of a back door, the accumulation of power to one minister cannot spell good news any way you look at it.
Sure.
And that's the danger. Mr. Chandra Jayaratne will be on Face the Nation on Monday, and they'll be discussing this in greater detail. So do tune in, Face the Nation on TV1, straight after the news at 9:30 p.m. on Monday. Chandra Jayaratne, thank you very much for coming into Newsline. We appreciate your time.
Thank you for us for the opportunity to bring out some frustrations plus the real issues that the people will face, the dangers.
Indeed. Thank you very much. And that's the way it was on Newsline on Friday, the 1st of December 2017. Take care. God bless.
Newsfirst, Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali.